Okay. Here, this is what we call the cycle of effective classroom assessment. So we have here the feed forward, feed up, and feedback. So let's now digest these three. Okay. So here, the first one is the feedback. So how am I going? So it's a reflection, reflective. It's the reason why uh, there's also the reflective learning for the student. So beyond the cognition, we also touching the affective side. So first, we need to check for understanding. Then, how about the feed up? So feed up is to understand the learning targets, and the feed forward is close the gap. So let's now deal one by one. So what do we mean by feedback? So feedback is we give feedback for improvement. So provide information, not judgmental feedback to students so they know how to improve their achievement of the 21st century learning goals. And also, they need to evaluate. So there's an evaluation of the strength and weaknesses of the student. So giving them on-the-spot feedback. So reteaching if it's needed, kung masyadong mababa yung scores of the class, and engaging student in self-assessment and self-regulation. How about the feed up? Where I am going. So, alam na ng bata kung ano yung kanyang mga, what you call this one, alam na niya yung kanyang needs to improve. Ngayon, there must be the understand the learning targets. So clearly articulate what are the learning goals and what constitutes a good work. Then produce a target driven work. So giving students assignment that matches the 21st century learning targets and helping them identify the next step in learning improvement. And lastly, compare performance with learning targets. So you need to use rubrics and other tools to communicate the student's level of proficiency and areas of improvement. So pwede kasing you are, kailangan ng bata kasi kung nasaan na siyang direction eh. So after giving them the feedback, they need now to be directed. Saan ba talaga tayo pupunta? And lastly, we need now to have the forward. Where to next? And like what I said, there's a gap. Diba? There are always room for improvement for students, and we need to fill that gap. So how will we close the gap? So working with students to close the gap between the 21st century performance goal and the current performance work products. Then we have here anchored on culminating performance, assessing tasks and projects. And lastly, we need to have culminating tasks and projects that genuinely transfer of key competencies and require students to engage in authentic real-world performance. Now, ano ba yung sinasabi ko palagi na 21st century assessment or the 21st century performance goal? Ano yung target ba natin na ang student natin ay maging what? Okay, so these are some of the uh, characteristics of a 21st century learner. And I think one of what the PISA or technically we need PISA is recommending for the students to have a higher critical thinking skills. They also have to be a problem solver, a good communicator, globally aware of not only in this present situation but also in his surrounding, his or her surrounding, a self-directed learner, an innovator, and collaborator. And one of the thing that a first century learner also has is like what Sir Jeff is always telling, students need to have a growth mindset.